The relationship here is interesting, and also the silence from Beijing. It can be TikTok, it can be WeChat, it can be 7 other things you're better at than I am. How do you describe the silence from Beijing? Is it normal?
Well, this is a whole new way of negotiating complex kind of international kind of commercial deals. China tends to be far more comfortable when things are being done kind of quietly out of the public eye and then announced when more or less all the T's have been crossed and all the I's have been dotted. Yeah. This is something that they're simply not used to.
How alone are they? This came up over the weekend in a conversation. Do they feel isolated without Russia support, certainly without U.S. support?
You know, it's interesting. Xi Jinping's talk at the UN yesterday, you got the sense that he was really talking to multiple audiences, not simply the U.S., although the U.S. was the primary one, along with, of course, the Chinese domestic audience. You did get a sense that things have really changed from, say, a year ago, when everybody was talking about China and the Belt and Road Initiative. Nowadays, as you say, there's really a shift towards kind of what is China's role in the international order. Very, very different from a year ago.
So what is that role, Andrew? Is there a huge difference between what they see as that role and the international community see as that role?
I think that it seems to me that they're trying to figure out kind of what the global tectonic plates are going to look like. They, like everybody else, are watching to see what happens in the United States in November. And one of China's, I think, chief sources of international leverage, that is its ability to interact with and invest in much of the developing world, has now been complicated by COVID, as well as these other kind of international trends that we're seeing.
Overall, Andrew, is that trend going to play out in technology? Is that where the biggest fight between the U.S. and China will happen over the next 5 to 10 years?
It really seems to be one of the areas where the fight is going to be the hardest. And I think recent developments in Europe have tipped the balance, at least for now, away from China.
Andrew, did the Chinese wait for President Biden? How do they calculate that outcome?
How do they calculate the...
How do they weigh and measure now what to do versus a President Trump or a President Biden?
Right. So I think with Trump, it's still all surprises. The TikTok deal is just the latest of pretty much airing kind of a lot of dirty laundry that's usually kept within the negotiating room. They certainly don't expect Biden to be easy on China, but they do expect him to be somewhat more predictable, which is kind of a key facet of the relationship that's pretty much kind of left the barn under the Trump administration.